Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baharakak Wadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazakba with the GMS Nebraska camp. And in this lesson, what I want to go over is how, we have to be abiding in the fear of the Lord right now. This is the time to make sure that we're walking properly, because there will come a time to where the mercy doors will close. We can, those of us who are in this truth, just because we're in this truth or just because we're in this fold, can give us a sense of comfortability or complacency of thinking that that's the end all be all. But there's a way that we have to walk while we're in this fold. Just because we know things and just because we're in this truth doesn't mean that we're in the clear. We're called, but we're not chosen. And so while we're called, we make diligence to make our calling and election sure. And a part of that is walking in the fear of the Lord. This is the time to do that, because the Lord wants to see who's going to do it right now before the evil times come. Once the time to the end come and we see the different prophecies, such as the love of many waxing cold, such as 2 Ezra 15 of, neighbor turning against neighbor, people running into each other's houses, chaos on the streets. Once we see, different prophecies, martial law, it's not going to be hard to abide in the fear of the Lord then. It's not going to be hard to call upon the name of the Lord. But let's read Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1 real fast. It says, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them." If we have to show the Lord that we truly fear him. Because if you truly fear the Lord, you don't need to be hemmed up against a wall or in a situation for you to exercise walking in the fear of the Lord. There should, we should be able to abide in the fear of the Lord, knowing that those things are possible, even though we're in a good case right now. Because if we look at where we're at prophetically compared to the times that are about to come, this is an easy time. We're not in the times of Jacob. Well, we're seeing the beginnings of the prophecies, but for a lot of us, we're not being met directly with Jacob's trouble. We're not being met directly with a lot of these, grueling prophecies and, times that we're about to come into. So it says, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. This is the time to abide in the fear of the Lord, because you are showing the Lord, how your sincerity, And so let's go to Sirach chapter 5 verse 4, because while we're in this truth, we can make excuses, or like I mentioned before, become complacent with ourselves that, because we know that we're in these chains of darkness, or because we know, we read Romans 7 and how it speaks about the nature of this flesh, that, we do things that we don't want to do. We'll use that as an excuse to continue to do the things that we're not supposed to be doing. And that's not, the proper way to walk. We're supposed to continue to strive to keep the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, to walk in his will to the best of our ability. And in Sirach chapter 5 verse 4, it says, "Say not, I have sinned, and what harm had happened unto me? For the Lord is long suffering, he will in no wise let thee go." So, we can have certain character traits, or, certain things that we do to Akim that we don't see the calamity from it right now. We don't see the backlash of, a certain sin that we may be committing right now, and we'll think that it's all good. We'll think that the Lord is just winking at it. But the Lord is saying that the Lord is long suffering, and he won't let us go. So he'll let us continue to do that thing. And essentially we're building a case against ourselves. It says, concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin. And that propitiation is going into atonement. Let's get that propitiation in the etymology, it says atonement, expiation. Let's get that word expiation real fast. The act of making amends or reparation for guilt or wrongdoing, atonement. So basically repenting, turning away from, your evil ways, reparation for a wrong or injury, appease, propitiate, favorable, gracious. We're supposed to be looking for the grace of the Lord. And, we have to show the Lord that we want that grace. We have to show the Lord that we're trying to make amends for our evils. But it says concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin, because this is our opportunity to make things right with the Lord right now. This is our opportunity to show our sincerity, to show our fear. And within it, we aren't supposed to just add sin unto sin and think that it's all good just because we're not seeing the backlash of it right now. In verse 6, it says, and say not his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. For mercy and wrath come from him, and his indignation resteth upon sinners. And there's going to come a time to where all the things that we're doing, all the wickedness that we're racking up, we're going to start to feel the, the backlash from it. I that's just the word that keeps coming to mind, Salakia. But we're gonna start reaping what we sow. And because the scriptures say what in Ecclesiastes chapter 8 verse 11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. So like it said in Sirach chapter 5, the Lord is long suffering, and he'll allow us to continue to do something. And because we're not seeing the repercussions of it right then and there, we think it's all good. But in the back of our mind, we know it ain't right. And we think that the Lord is just being merciful. No, the Lord is letting us go off, but he's not letting us go, because eventually, let's read verse 12. It says, though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear the Most High, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before the Most High. And it's going to come a time to where once the evil times do come, once we start to get into these major prophecies, there's Jacob's trouble, the famines, the pestilences, and we start to, and if we weren't walking within the Lord's fear, people are going to realize that they aren't protected. People are going to realize that the Lord is allowing them to fall into snares, that the Lord isn't, taking care of them. And it's going to be just, because this is the opportunity, to, basically, be found worthy for that protection, But let's go to Proverbs chapter 19, verse 23. Which says, the fear of the Lord Yahweh tendeth to life, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. So there's a particular behavior that is accompanied with salvation. And one of the most paramount things within the behavior that accompanies salvation is what? Fear of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And that fear isn't just being afraid of what the Lord can do, because we know that the Lord killeth and maketh alive. We know that the Lord is the King of terrors. We know all the things that the Lord can bring upon us. But it's not just that. It's walking in respect of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, as knowing that the Most High is our creator, knowing that the Lord died for our sins, knowing their majesty. It's waking up and praying in the morning out of respect. It's as the scriptures say. Let's grab Proverbs 3 and 5, or 3 and 6. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 6. It says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. When you acknowledge Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai in all your ways, that is a form of fearing the Lord. It's showing respect unto the Lord. So let's go back, or no, we don't need that Proverbs. We can go to Proverbs 1 and 33, which says, but whoso heareth, Salakia, but whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. The scriptures say, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to go to it. I believe it's Psalms what is it, 25 verse 13. This is good. Yeah, we can start this at verse 12 actually. It says, Psalm chapter 25 verse 12, it says, what man is he that feareth the Lord? Him shall he teach in the way that he shall choose. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. This said his soul shall dwell at ease. It's a level of peace and prosperity that comes with fearing the Lord, that those who don't fear him won't have. Now, ultimately, this is speaking about the kingdom, because it's talking about, his seed inheriting the earth, and, the nation of Israel's seed is going to inherit the earth and become, kings and princes and princesses, in the kingdom. But, when we read on, this is relevant to this time as well, because in verse 14, it says, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. Let's read that in the NLT. It says, the Lord Yahweh is a friend to those who fear him. And this is why, we see those who fear the Lord. Those are the ones who are teaching, prophesying, who, understand the truth of these scriptures, but again, just because we know these things doesn't mean we're in the clear. We still have to continue to abide in that fear and make sure that we're exercising it in all aspects of our lives to the best of our ability, But in verse 15, it says, this is why I wanted to get this verse. It says, mine eyes are ever toward the Lord Yahweh, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. And when we read that in the NLT, it says, my eyes are always on the Lord, for he rescues me from the traps of my enemies. So in the time of the end, when, the love of many is going to wax cold, when Esau is going to be coming down with great wrath, the Lord is the decider of if we fall into Esau's hand or if we don't. The Lord is the decider if we go into a concentration camp or not, if we get tortured or not, if we, whatever it may be. The Lord is the decider of that. And so knowing that it says, it says mine eyes are ever toward the Lord. That's walking in respect. That's acknowledging him in all your ways. That's fearing him. And with that, what did David say? It says, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. The Lord is going to allow me to escape the snares of my enemies. The Lord is going to allow me to be protected, to be saved from different calamities. But what do you have to do in order to be saved from those calamities? What do you have to do in order to be protected in the evil day? You have to, walk in fear right now, while the evil days come not nigh in our youth. Let's get Proverbs 18:10. The Spirit's telling me to bring it out. This will be the last precept. It says, the name of the Lord Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. When it says that the name of the Lord is a strong tower, that's telling us that we're supposed to call upon the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because they're going to be our protection. They're going to be our guard. They are our guard now, and they will be our guard in the times of evil. But it says that the righteous runneth into it and is safe. So it's not just like you can carry yourself however you want or do whatever you want, treat people however you want, treat the Lord however you want, treat his truth however you want, and think that you can just call upon him and you're going to be good. No, it says that the righteous are going to run into that name, or going to call upon that name, and they're going to be saved, because the Lord himself, the Lord Yahweh Shai himself, said that there are going to be people who call upon my name and say, Lord, Lord, and he's going to say what? He never knew thee. So this goes to me first and foremost, and all of us in this truth, within and without. Right now is the time to be made right with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Right now is the time to abide in his fear. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'arach B'dash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and the salutation unto the elect. Shalom.